Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Kayla and I maintain a backyard garden at my home in North Texas. Today I'm going to be starting some of my spring vegetable and flower seeds. I'm probably about a week behind in doing this, but if you don't know, I'm pregnant and sometimes things aren't going to get done when you want them to get done. But that's okay. So I'm starting them today. Everything's going to be fine. If you haven't seen me start seedlings before, I'm using the same procedure as I always do. I'll link a video down in the description that goes into a little bit more detail. But the only difference is I'm using a new seedling tray or cell tray. So this is the Epic 6-cell tray. They're really sturdy. I'm excited to see how they do. So yeah, I'm going to finish getting these filled with my pre-moistened seedling mix, and then I'll go over exactly what I'm planting this season. All right, all my trays have been filled. I went ahead and labeled everything so I know where everything is going. And then I've got my planting chopstick that is marked with 8-inch, 1/4-inch, and 1/2-inch markings. And that's what I use to determine the planting depth. So now I'm ready to get planting. So the first thing I'm going to start with is all of my tomatoes. I'm doing 6 kinds of tomatoes for the spring. Normally in the spring I do more of the larger tomatoes than cherry tomatoes because I have a slightly longer growing season in the spring. So those larger tomatoes are able to get planted and then ripen before the heat knocks them out. In the fall I tend to do more cherry tomatoes because of the shorter planting season. So those larger tomatoes aren't going to have as much time to ripen. So for the spring, I'm doing 2 cherry tomatoes. The first is this heirloom black cherry. This is one of my favorites taste-wise. I really like putting it into salads. This is a new one. This is Berry's Crazy Cherry. I just thought it looked interesting, so we're going to give that a try this year. And then for my larger tomatoes, I'm doing a pineapple tomato. This one I did last year. I didn't get any to ripen because last year was a really bad year for tomatoes, actually. My spring tomatoes got wiped out by a hailstorm, and then my fall tomatoes got wiped out by an early freeze. So hopefully this year is better for tomatoes. So yeah, I'm going to give this one another try. Cherokee Purple does really well in our area, so this is one that I like growing. Golden Jubilee is another one of my favorites. So this one I'm doing again, and then this one is a new one to me. This is a cream sausage tomato. I've heard good things about this one, so I'm going to give it a try. It looks interesting. So those are the 6 that I'm going to be planting this spring. Next, I'm going to be doing some tomatillos. I did these 2 years ago and they did really well, but I wasn't quite prepared to trellis them like they needed to be. They have a really branching growth habit, so they kind of got out of control. But I'm going to grow these again this year. I really like putting them in salsas and enchilada sauces. You do need 2 plants when you're growing tomatillos in order to get them to pollinate sufficiently. But I'm going to be growing these this year, and then I'm also going to do some more of my favorite kind of basil. This is the Everleaf Emerald Towers. I grew this last year. I had several of these, and I had more basil than I knew what to do with. So I'm probably only going to do a couple of these this year, but this is my favorite kind of basil. Alright, next I'm doing dill. So I'm doing 2 types of dill. I'm doing elephant dill and tetra dill. I'm actually doing 12 cells of them because I'm going to need a lot of dill this year for my butterflies. So I grew dill last year for butterflies, and I had only 1 caterpillar actually make it to a butterfly because they kept getting eaten by wasps. So I actually have a butterfly habitat this year that I'm going to use. So once I notice that there are caterpillars, I can move them into that little protected habitat, and hopefully more of them will make it. So I'm gonna need a lot of dill, so I'm doing 6 cells of each kind. For eggplant this year, I'm doing 2 varieties. The first is the Black Beauty eggplant. I grew this last year and it did really well. And then I don't think I grew this one last year. I can't remember, but this is the Listata de Grandia. I'm sure I said that right. But I found that I like the thicker eggplants more than the Chinese variety that I grew last year, which was really thin. I just like that these give you more eggplant. So these are the 2 that I'm gonna grow this year. For peppers this year, I'm doing the Megatron jalapeno. Last year was the first year I didn't grow jalapenos, and I really missed having them in the garden. They're just really easy to throw into a whole bunch of dishes, and then also really easy to chop up and freeze. So definitely doing jalapenos this year. I'm also doing more Round of Hungry peppers. Those were the big red ones that I grew last year, and those did really well for me, so I want to grow more of those. I'm also going to do serrano peppers. I really like putting these in salsas. And then lastly, I'm going to do a Hungarian yellow wax pepper, just so I have something that I can kind of just chop up and throw into salads and things like that. So those are the 4 peppers I'm growing. I also have that Mad Hatter pepper that I'm overwintering, and that's still doing great sitting in my window right now, so that will be going out in the spring as well. Alright, and the last thing I've got today is flowers. So I'm really trying to put more flowers in my garden and just kind of sprinkle them throughout the raised beds. I'm usually pretty strict and organized about what goes into the raised beds and how much room it has, but I'm trying to be a little bit more disorganized this year and just kind of sprinkle things in where I want them. So I'm going to start some Cosmos. These are the Diablo kind, and then also some Apricota ones. And then a bunch of marigolds, because you know I love marigolds. So I've got these Naughty Marietta, 2 kinds of African marigolds. I'm doing the Phyllis, and then also the Kilimanjaro White. And then my favorite marigold is just the Gem Blend. So I'll be doing some of these as well. Alright, that is everything. So now I'm going to take these and get them set up in the seed starting room. Alright, so this is my new seed starting room. It's actually also my office. But I got this new wire shelf from my in-laws for Christmas. It's bigger than my other one, so I'm a lot more organized on this shelf, and I really like it. So I have the seedlings that I just planted up here. I've got the lights on them now, but they don't necessarily need them until they sprout. There's also a heating mat underneath this tray, which will help the seeds germinate. And then the lights are on a pulley system so that I can raise them and lower them as I need. And then as soon as they do germinate, I'll turn on this little fan, which will have air circulating over that, which helps to strengthen the seedlings while they're inside. So that's about it. These will stay here until they're ready to be potted up, and that's about it. These are some onions down here I need to plant today or tomorrow, but that just hasn't happened yet. So yeah, I think that's about it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.